The following is a presentation of the Western Ontario Super Hockey League. Hello once again, everybody. Andrew Rogers here, the host of the Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast. This is episode number 11. It's great to be back with you guys once again, and thank you very much for watching. I apologize for last week's episode. For anybody who watched, there was a bit of an audio issue with the podcast from the Zoom meeting I had with Edward Davey, and it took me a little while to get it going and do all the edits that I had to do to try and make it good. And I hope that everybody enjoyed it despite that. But just like I say, just wanted to address it because I felt like it was necessary. When it comes to these podcasts, guys, I really do everything I can to make sure it's as good as possible for you, the viewer. That you guys enjoy what you're watching, that you get a lot out of it, that you get a lot of entertainment out of it, and a lot of information and so on and so forth about this league and how great it is and the people that are showcased front and center. For me, guys, there's a lot of pride that I take in this. I just, like I say, I want it to go well. I don't do it for me. I don't do it for fanfare. I do it for the players and the people in this league, because they are the ones that deserve all the credit. They are the ones who should get all the recognition and support. I'm just the guy at the end of the day that asks the questions. So, like I say, I want to bring the best product to you guys that I can bring, and I hope you can all appreciate that. This league is obviously going strong right now. There's still quite a few months to go before puck drop. Fingers crossed, obviously, that we go off as scheduled without a hitch. But we could definitely keep our fingers crossed on that one. All the teams in the league are doing great things right now in terms of, moving forward. You got a lot of different, like I say, a lot of different players being announced for commitment wise. And, like I said, there's just a lot of buzz and excitement in the air for sure. If you guys want to go to all our social media accounts, here's where you can find them, at least the league ones anyways. You can find the different team websites, the team social media accounts through the leagues, and make sure to navigate them through that way. And you can also go to our website. That's www.woshl.com for all the latest information there as well. And of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel, guys, because these YouTube podcasts, the Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcasts, keep coming out once every week right now. They are always on the same time and the same day, Saturdays at 10 a.m. So make sure to keep your calendars marked for those. The guests keep coming, and it's just great to be able to have the players of this fantastic league on this podcast. And it's definitely a great pleasure to be able to speak with them, pick their brain, and get their hockey upbringing. And I think that's a really interesting twist on these podcasts, is just hearing what they have to say and talk about different experiences throughout their hockey careers. I think that's really fun. And it's no shortage of that today on this week's edition of the podcast, Western Ontario Super Hockey League. We talked to Stratford Fighting Irish goaltender Zack Weir, and you know what? Let's just introduce him now and get this interview rolling. So here he is. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it's at this time that I welcome in our guest on this week's edition of the podcast, Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast, episode number 11 from the Stratford Fighting Irish. He's going to be manning the nets for Stratford this upcoming October, Zack Weir. Zack, it's a pleasure to have you on here, pal. Thanks a lot for doing this, and welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool that we have a podcast going for the league and everything, and it's good to even see the past ones, see other guys too.
Yeah, man. Like for I don't know, like I say, for me, I've always kind of preached the players. I think, it was nice to have the management guys on there, but really at the end of the day, this league and this podcast are about focusing on the players and featuring you guys, because to be honest, you guys are the makeup of this league. You're going to be the backbones. You're going to be the focus of all the attention, the games. This is all about you guys and showcasing your unbelievable talent. Having followed a little bit of your career throughout the years in terms of your junior career, at least. From what I've read, from what I've seen from some of the highlights of 519 Sports Online, you're an unbelievable goaltender, and really excited to see what you can do with the Stratford Fighting Irish. Just that I wanted to make sure I got out of the way off the hop. But take us back to when you kind of made the decision that the Stratford Fighting Irish were going to be the team that you were going to suit up for next. Kind of how did that all come about?
Oh, well, right after I finished playing my overage year in Stratford for the Warriors, I knew right away I wanted to go into coaching, and one of my friend's brothers was coaching a junior C team in Mount Bridges. So I was kind of,
Okay.
yeah, so I was kind of committed to that, but there was senior teams kind of just reaching out, seeing where my head was at, and I kind of just wanted to see what it would be like. Stop playing, like I played all my life since I can remember, so I kind of have a winter almost to myself, but still junior C is a chill enough schedule where you can do something. So that went on. Then we had last year, didn't do anything, and then yeah, just got a message from Jamie and kind of saw who was there. Graham Brulot reached out to me, and I never played with him, but just through mutual contacts, and we kind of became friends. And yeah, there's just Stratford was a great place. What was my favorite place I played juniors, so it was pretty easy decision to when I found out they're having a senior team and a fresh league too is pretty cool. So kind of cool to be a part of. And yeah, basically the guys, like great group of guys we have, and we're young, which is a cool thing. I don't think you see too often in senior, like one of our old, I think our oldest guys in 96 or 95. So
Right.
mm-hmm.
Do you think that'll play to you guys' strength? That you are a younger group. I know there could be a lot of chatter out there that says, "Hey, maybe you guys are too young. That you may not have a whole lot of experience. That's maybe some other teams may bring to the table." Do you believe that's just a lot of, I guess, going into that first year and chirps and everything else? Like, do you think there's some truth to that, or you think that's extra motivation for you guys to go out there and prove them wrong?
Well, it's definitely motivation. I mean, we're all most of the guys have little groups have played together and everything. So I think we've got a lot of team morale along with us. Like we're a young group, we'll have tons of energy, lots of gritty guys on the team, but we also have high end skills. So I
Right.
think people will be surprised with what we can do. And I think just a belief in our group already, like we kind of just through group chats and everything, we seem like it's going to come together well. But I think it's good. I mean, we don't really have any bad blood with anyone right now, and
Right.
we're just kind of a very fresh team. So I think the youth will definitely come to our advantage. But I'm not too familiar. I've only seen a couple senior games before in the past, so I don't know how much the having a veteran senior player will come into it. But I just know
Right.
with the skill we have and the amount of junior championships we have on our team, let alone through coaching staff and players, I think will help us.
Right, right. The interesting part that you say, you bring that up, it's interesting. What I find, like I say, particularly kind of, I guess, really intriguing about this league is that you got guys, a couple teams that have had, have these pre-existing rosters going into the season, Alora, Tilsonburg. There's going to be a lot of familiarity in terms of the players on the team having played with each other before. You could say that might be an advantage. For you guys for the Stratford Fighting Irish, I'm sure there are lots of guys that have either played with one another or even played against, specific people. Like, how do you feel like that's going to be an advantage for you guys heading into the season?
Well, I think it's gonna be good because the guys that have played together on this team played together for a long time, and
Okay.
be it junior or minor hockey, so the relationships are there for most guys. I mean, I have a D man that I played with my whole life, so I mean that won't be too much of a switch. And Matt Granger with sorry,
Yeah.
but so at least I'll have a familiar face there, and then we have Mitchell Casey who I played with in Stratford. We developed a pretty close relationship there. We're
Right.
stall buddies, so I think, yeah, there's some new faces, but also there's enough familiar faces where I think it'll come together pretty good.
Right on, right on. Now, in terms of like, I guess when it comes to, so what's impressed you most about this whole process? Like from the get-go, from when you first saw, I guess, committed to the Irish and to this point, like what's impressed you most about how the organization has run things? Because again, anytime a new organization could come along in a new league, there could be lots of expectations, if you will. Like what's impressed you the most about how things have been handled so far?
I just think the organization and just how how established they are in the community already. I mean, they had that dinner at Joe's Diner. I think it was last weekend or a couple weekends ago.
Yeah.
And that's been the main thing, is how organized everything is right off the hop. Like,
Right.
it kind of didn't give you any hesitation. Like, you saw it was legit and this is the real deal and everything. And obviously with this podcast, is pretty cool. I don't think any other league, though, junior league, has something like this. But it's cool. I mean, it's this whole setup just of the league itself, and I like that, having the teams, everything. Like, there's a lot of familiar faces too with me, with just playing around the GOJHL and everything. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's just been basically the organization and structure of everything's been amazing, from the league to our team itself. I mean, everyone involved we met everyone last night, so it's pretty cool that even seeing them, like, everyone's kind of, even our coaching staff, we're all buddies from the past. So it's cool that everything's kind of very organized.
Right. And like obviously having played for the Stratford Warriors is probably a huge deal for you, because getting to go back to the Almond Saturday afternoons 4:30,
Yes.
being able to play in front of that crowd. Like, speak to that a little bit. And I guess, because the interesting thing, whenever I talk to goalies, I always wonder about this, because you're in that net and you're watching the whole play. You got the best seat in the house, but you feed off of the energy. I talked to Edward Davey from the Elora Rocks. I've got a good relationship with him, and we talked about this. What is it like for you to be able to play in front of those kinds of crowds? Because those junior crowds can get pretty insane, right?
Yeah, no, especially the Willie, man. That place is an awesome bar. And I played my first year, we in London, we played them in the Sutherland Cup semifinals. And even then, like, that atmosphere was crazy. And right from that series, I was like, I have to play here at some point in these next.
Right on.
Then the chance came. So I mean, I think we have a huge advantage with the Allman, especially if we end up getting the crowds that the B team gets. I mean, that place is awesome. And once the home team gets momentum, I mean, it's really tough to stop us. So I think it'll be the same with the Irish, because we've got guys that have played for the Culletons and Warriors.
Right.
So I think with the familiarity of the rink and the atmosphere in there, I mean, it's an awesome place. And I played there away and home, and I can tell you, when you're away, you definitely don't want to go down early there, because it's not a good time.
Yeah, that must be some kind of an interesting twist on things. Having, like I say, played there as a visitor, played there as a home. Having guys boo you and then having guys cheer you religiously when you're, the best player on the ice that night. So, no, I totally understand that part of it. And yeah, like, so did you? So yeah, like, that's the cool thing about this. Like, this league has so much parity to it in terms of different things, different makeups. Obviously, we've heard of some of the players on the other teams and so on and so forth. Like, who are you most excited to be playing alongside of the makeup of the team that's been announced so far?
I think it's probably, I mean, it's nothing against all the other guys I know on the team, but it's getting back together with Ray Robbins and Matt Granger.
Okay.
We played together growing up and everything, and just kind of, we didn't really get to, other than Ray, we played to brief time in a brief playoff in Lambeth together, but we never really, after minor hockey, got to play together. And those are two amazing guys, so it's fun to play with them. And then Tanner Ferreira. I played with him, Tanner Ferreira, Clayton Lewis, Mitch Casey, just all the guys that I played with previously. It's awesome to get back with guys that it's not just any guys, but guys you had good relationships with. It's really cool to see, especially when it's surprising when you see a certain name pop up and you're like, holy crap, we got him. Like, it's cool to see the familiar face going. But probably the London guys that I played minor hockey with.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, is there any stories that stick out from your junior uprising that kind of stick out above the rest that you could share with us?
Well, just winning like a conference championship in my first year with London, that was awesome. We had a great veteran group. There was like only 4 rookies that year, and 2 of us were 17. So it was a great group of guys, and it was cool because it was a lot of local kids too. So we had all kind of, everyone had grew up knowing each other, knowing of each other, playing with each other. So it was a season kind of destiny. We played a great Leamington team, and then we kind of just ran out of steam against a stacked Caledonia.
Right. Yeah. I hear those. I remember those teams being pretty good in a lot of years. Like, they took a year off, they came back, they were still solid. I mean, how does that happen?
Exactly. Yeah.
So now, like, speak a little bit about, I guess, your game. Like, what are the Stratford Fighting Irish to expect from you if they don't know you already in terms of your goaltending style? Like, what can they expect from you between the pipes this season?
I really like to calm things down. I really communicate well with my players. I like to organize the D zone to my liking, kind of almost like try to be a quarterback and a big leader back there because, I mean, in just the position, you naturally see the whole ice. So
Right.
there's not much behind you. So I like to be calm. I like to have a good rapport with my D, good communication. I really love to play the puck and go sling it out there any chance I can get. I mean, be a third D, I think always helps. And
Mhm.
just nothing ever gets, never get too high, never get too low. Like I'll never dwell on a goal. I mean, that's the game. It's going to happen. That's what you sign up for is you just
Right.
try to stop as many as you can. So just really calm, cool, and collected is basically how I like to describe my game.
Right on. No, that's a great answer. I really like that a lot. In terms of like what I guess take us back to that time when you were trying to decide, okay, maybe like I'm looking for a sport to get into, and then it's like, okay, yeah, hockey's the answer, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, what position am I going to play? Well, I guess I'll play goalie. Like, I mean, anyone has a different answer for why they want to decide a certain sport, let alone a certain position. Like, what was it about hockey and what was it about being a goalie that kind of really spoke to you, I guess?
Well, first part hockey, I didn't really have a choice. My dad was a big hockey guy, and
Right.
from the time I was 2, he started making a backyard rink. So,
Oh,
uh,
cool.
yeah, I got on skates very young, and then just kind of started basically just out of the gates. It was awesome. Like I just kind of had a natural touch for it, and then one tournament they needed a goalie, and it was just like a house league before you could play rep, and
Right.
we were just a small town outside of London. We were there, and they needed a goalie, and I just kind of didn't even think, just volunteered. I was like, I like to help people out, so
Sure.
hey, I'll go play net. And then after that, I was like, oh, this is kind of good, and played a year up of house league, and then the coach was like, no, dude, go try out your age goalie. So that's kind of has almost just how it happened. And then in tryouts, we couldn't get gear, and I remember just being all upset because that was all I wanted to do was play net just from that one tournament on. So
Wow. Just
and
like
then a couple
that.
bad goals, which who knows, my parents might have been wishing for just their hearts that I stayed out. But yeah, it took one tournament and that was it. That's how I started loving the position.
Now, there's obviously got to be some pressure, at least from the folks, when it comes to you playing a position like that, though, right? Like facing guys, whatever, 75-mile-an-hour heater. I don't know how fast they're bringing them in junior, but
Yeah.
I mean, just to have a shot directed your way or a close in tight chance, like, is that more stressful for you or for the people watching, let alone your folks?
Uh, I don't know, because my parents were pretty relaxed growing up with
Just like you, right? Yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense.
like my dad, he was like loves hockey and everything, but his primary sport's baseball. And my mom was a swimmer, so
Oh, well, there you
I
go.
don't think he really knew what to do with the goalie. So it's kind of like I'm gonna sit back, let him figure it out, and like he'd ask questions like, "Oh, you letting a stinker there, eh? Like, what do you think you should have done?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I know."
Nothing like
But,
chirping your son, right?
yeah, so it was nice knowing that they were relaxed kind of the whole
Right.
time. So that was good. But oh, definitely them. I mean, I love when things get scrambly in the net. I think that's your chance to make your big save or the big moment. So I had no other position. Like you can have a game-winning goal and everything, but I mean, when you have a huge save like that, that gets people out of their seats. So I love it.
Absolutely.
I love when it gets scrambly. My parents may not, but that's the fun part of it.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to my next question. Like, as a goaltender, it's such an interesting position because obviously there are nights when you can face very few shots and others where you can get absolutely peppered for 6 periods or 7 periods, however many it decides, because sometimes those GOGHL games can go quite a long time.
Yeah.
In terms of your perspective, like obviously, which do you prefer? Do you prefer kind of a slower night, or do you prefer to be busy for every period of hockey that you play that night?
Oh, I'd prefer to be busy. I mean, it's nice sometimes having a night off or kind of having a chill game, but it's really easy to just get crowd watching or
Sure.
kind of like that. And then when they get a flurry, you're kind of cold. So it is nice sometimes to have relaxed games, but it's definitely better to be engaged the whole time.
Right. Yeah, no, I guess I could see that point. I mean, again, just because, yeah, when you're in the game, you feel the energy, and guy, you're feeling the puck a lot. I think that could obviously, yeah, I would suspect that would help your kind of mental game to really put
Yeah.
the focus on and get it razor sharp. In terms of, like I say, so in your previous hockey experience, like, is there a time, like a game that sticks out above the rest in terms of a fond hockey memory? Like, is there something that you look back on and say, man, this game, that was really something. That was probably the highlight of my hockey career so far.
Yeah, we in major midget, we had a really good team, and it was a lot of our guys from minor midget ended up playing there. There's like 8 or 9 guys, and then we had a couple 97s that were awesome. And we made it to the OHF final and played the Toronto Nationals, and it was 0-0 till about probably 5 minutes left in the third, and then we just had just an unfortunate turnover in the D zone, and they kind of had a empty net backdoor chance, and that kind of opened up the floodgates. But that team ended up winning Telus Cup. But that whole experience was awesome. Like Don Cherry did our opening ceremonies,
Oh, cool.
and then going into the semifinals, Bob McKenzie did like a just like a highlight of like minor hockey in the area and kind of what's going on. And it was
Oh,
in
neat.
Toronto. So he predicted Whitby to beat us, and we ended up beating them 6-0 in the finals. So a bunch
Cool.
of us started tweeting back at him saying, "Come on, Bob." And it was awesome. So just that whole experience, that whole week, it was a week long too. So you get to be with the boys for a week long in a hotel when you're in grade 11 and 12. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that experience alone was awesome.
Oh yeah, sure. Many sticks in the hallways, the whole deal. Yeah, I get it.
Not quite many six
No,
then. It was getting
no,
close.
you're right.
But
Fair enough. You'd be too old for that at that point, right?
yeah,
They
yeah,
probably would. They probably look at you kind of funny if they're,
yeah,
16, 17-year-olds playing many sticks
yeah,
in the hallways. That would be a little weird,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
No, no, no doubt, no doubt. It is, yeah, like, it's just that, like I say, this is such a cool experience for me to be a part of this league. I know there's a lot of people that are really, really hyped about it in terms of how this league could potentially go in its first year. There's obviously another element to this, and I don't know if you could speak to this a little bit, like if you ever had much of this. I don't know if, like, with the whole streaming idea of these games in this league, I think that's really fascinating about how cool this league's going to be, because all the games are going to be streamed. I don't know if that's going to add a little extra pressure on the players to step up their games a little, knowing that there's potentially people watching from their living rooms or not. But, like, when you were playing your junior, did you have games covered as well? Like, is that something that you can be like, okay, guys, it's not so bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in London they had Rogers TV covered every home game, so
Okay.
that was pretty cool. You kind of felt like you were playing major junior in a sense. Like it was a pretty similar setup to what they do with the Knights. So there we had
Right.
it, and that was the only place I've had like television coverage or anything. But like
Right.
they'd have like if like most teams had a hockey TV or something, but to
Right.
have like a senior game like this streamed and everything, I think it just adds to the excitement of what's
Right.
going on to show like this league will and can be something legit. Like it'll be good hockey. There's lots of good players, and just so I think it could just even give more exposure to how good of a hockey it could be compared to the other senior leagues, and just show that we're right there with the best of them.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. We're talking with Stratford Fighting Irish goaltender Zack Weir on the upcoming season, and his anticipation. I guess, like, what do you guys hope? Like, what is your goal this season? I mean, obviously, yeah, like, it's different for the four teams that are coming in here, very new, very fresh, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have your Laura Tilsonburg that are coming in, I guess, with a little bit more heightened expectation for them because of their, the fact that they've been together or they have a pre-existing roster, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What is your goal on the season, and where do you see the Irish ending up once the dust settles? What's the hope?
I think as a team, we're trying. I think we're still trying to kind of get everything together, but the expectations are really high
Good.
for us. I think, and I get the sense of. But for me, it's just kind of get back into the groove of playing again, and I think turn some heads. Like people already think we're a young team going into a senior league, so kind of cards are stacked against us from the start. So it's just go out there and just have fun. I mean, that's what this whole thing is about, and obviously take it seriously, but just have a good time. And for us, being the almost underdogs in a sense,
You
just
already
go out.
have that underdog title. It's great.
Yeah, so go there and just turn heads and show people that we're we're not going to be a breeze, because I don't think we will be. I mean, we can be young, but we're young brings the legs and the energy. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
No, that'd be great. No, it's like I say, it's just going to be really exciting to see the makeup of all these teams, see what they bring on a nightly basis, and just watch them go toe to toe. I think that's going to be so fun. In terms of this, like the other interesting part is that you got a lot of guys that may have a little bit extra motivation because they haven't played hockey in like quite some time because of this pandemic. A lot of like some guys lost out on their overage year. Like, I guess what is that like? Where do you stand in all of this? Like, I guess what is your psych level to be able to get back on the ice and start playing competitive hockey again?
Oh, it'll be awesome. I mean, I was fortunate enough to finish out junior normally compared to the last kind of two groups of overagers have. So
Right.
I'm just excited for guys like Mitch Casey, who was cut short, Clayton Lewis. Like, I mean, your overage year is one of the most, other than your first year, is the most fun. So
Right.
it's for the guys on even other teams. I mean, it's great that they get to finally have, it's a kind of like a nice closure, but it's also a new beginning for everyone. So I think that's cool. And it's just, yeah, basically that. I mean,
No, it's a great answer, man. I like it. Like I say, I'm super excited, obviously, for this season, and it's going to be really interesting to be a part of this league and see how far it can go. Do you have a hockey nickname? I like to ask that question because I think a lot of them could be really funny in terms of where they come from. What's your hockey nickname?
just simple Weirsy.
Yeah, I was thinking that in my head. I was like, I bet you he says that, right?
Yeah. I had a trainer, and he used to call me a puck bag, but that was more just harmless chirps in the gym. So
right,
yeah, but yeah.
Weirsy makes sense. That one I think
that's a lot better.
I think that's a little bit obvious. I mean, like I say, it's just interesting when you hear like guys say something and you're just like, what? How did that come? Right?
Sometimes they just don't make sense, but it makes sense to the group. So
right.
Most of the times it's from off ice antics is where all the nicknames get made up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now again, you're coming back, you're playing for the Stratford community. I mean, this is going to be huge, obviously, for this league and a lot of community involvement. What is that like? How important do you think that's going to be in terms of the team's success and making sure you guys are vocal in the community, making sure you got the backing there, and then just making sure to keep coming together as a unit?
Yeah, I think it's great that we have a lot of local kids too. So like right off the bat, you have butts in the seats. It's pretty much a community-run team. I mean, all the people involved, from our coach to up to Jamie. I mean, they're all from Stratford. They played senior together, so that's awesome to see. And just Stratford is a great hockey community. I mean, from the first day of training camp when I played there to the last game, I mean, you felt like you're part of the family. So that's what drew me back. Like, Stratford's an awesome place. My family loved it. My girlfriend loved coming down. So it's just the fact of having another team in Stratford, I feel, will give more excitement, because you get the Warriors on Friday nights, and then you get us Saturday afternoons. So there's definitely no shortage of hockey fix now. And I think it's just great. Even other towns like Strathroy, I mean, if the junior teams kind of struggled, but if their senior team can get back up, well, that just rejuvenates hockey there in Strathroy, because even that's like a great hockey town. I mean,
right.
them too. That was a great place to play. So I really don't know much about the other centers, but
Right.
just speaking from Stratford and Strathroy are just such amazing hockey towns. So it's good to see towns like that get an additional hockey team.
Right. Yeah, no, that's definitely really cool. I think it's really interesting that you played for the Stratford Rockets and now you're going to go up against the Jets. I think that'll be really fun for you. So, dude, I'm definitely stoked for you in terms of how this season is going to play out. I really wish nothing but the best for you. I really hope that your junior career and how well you dominated there will translate to the Irish and that you can lead them to a lot of victories. And I just want all the success in the world for the Irish this upcoming season. So I'm definitely stoked for you guys. And like I say, we've been talking with Zack Weir from the Stratford Fighting Irish. Zach, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on here, dude. We'll have you on again for sure. We'll make sure to talk a lot during the season, and just best of luck at the end of the day. All right.
Sweet. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
This Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast is brought to you by Joe's Diner. Come and enjoy Joe's all-day breakfast, located at 155 Erie Street in Stratford. Call 519-272-9933. And by Locker Room Lager. Dump and chill and enjoy these suds with your squad. Visit postgamebrewingco.com for details.
Once again, I want to thank our guests on this week's edition of the podcast, Zack Weir of the Stratford Fighting Irish. It was an absolute pleasure to talk with him, and we'll make sure to talk to him again, like I said. We also want to thank our sponsors for this week's edition of the podcast, Joe's Diner out of Stratford at 155 Erie Street. Their food is delicious. Honestly, it's fantastic. I also want to give a shout out to Locker Room Lager for Post Game Brewing Co. For their sponsorship as well. Give a big shout out to our league president, Jamie Petrie, and all the hard work he continues to do, and all the different management execs and players in this league for continuing to push us up ahead and moving forward to that opening puck drop. So a lot of exciting things going on, guys. It's a great time to be alive. It's a great time to be a hockey fan, obviously with our league and various others. So it's just it's great to be able to bring this podcast to you. I'm your host, Andrew Rogers. This has been episode number 11 of the Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's supposed to be beautiful, so make sure to get out there and enjoy the sun while it lasts, before the rain hits again. Anyways, guys, we'll see you guys all next week. Thank you very much for tuning in once again, and take care.